Kryptonians, I'm sure by now you have all seen this insane Earthquake Dust Devil build. But have you seen it like this? Introducing the Stealth Quake build. We are taking this insane interaction from one of the new Mythic Uniques and combining it with the crazy Quake build. I'm currently at tier 100. I've made it through. I was about a minute off of the clear, but I spent 2 minutes looking for monsters. I have the run. When I actually clear it, I'll update it, and I'll put the video in the comments. Check this out. If there's anybody out there that is just tuning in, I am four followers away from hitting 2,700. Jesus. If you guys wouldn't mind following, I would appreciate it. So close.
With each victorious spin, the legends start to grow. The whirlwind never ends as he lays his foes low. All of the nations spin to victory. All of the nation, he's a sight to see. From the depths of hell he's risen with a strength that's ironclad. He's above of the nation, the bravest of the bad. He will be a whirlwind in the darkness, a friend to you and me. All nations spin to victory. All of the nation, what a sight to see.
All these songs make this channel so unique. Yes, I agree. Oh, Barb Nation. Spin victory. The mythic chests are on the PTR. I don't know if you're playing on the PTR or not. Jesus, this spider took so long. I should not have stayed there. So if you're on the PTR, you just go to Mrak who's over right in the very beginning of the PTR when you zone in next to the waypoint. And you can talk to him, and you can grab your equipment, grab your chest. I don't even know if these big elites are worth it. Okay, this. Oh my god. This is the third big elite monster that I've gotten. I haven't gotten a single pack. It takes so much longer. You see this? Oh my god. Oh my god, it's a dead end. Am I gonna run into this issue again? I've been like pretty careful to kill like almost everything. Another one of those big monsters. Oh my god, how many we're gonna get? That's crazy. There is definitely some weird interaction here. Yeah, it's not crazy. You reached pit 100? Another big one. Just single monsters. There's not any elite packs whatsoever. Oh my god, if I had died there. Wait, is there a damage production monster somewhere? Oh, there is! Oh, what a jerk face! Where did she come from? You just teleported through the wall.
What a jerk face.
What a jerk face.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Do it, you don't want to do it. You want to live.
You want to live. No way. Oh my god, let me in, let me in, let me in. This is it right here. This is the last pack. This will do it. Thank you. Oh my god, are you for cereal? Are you for cereal right now? I get bramble. We get bramble. The tankiest out of every single pit boss. No way. No way. No way. Not my chair, not my problem. That's what I always say. Dude, I don't think I'm gonna kill him. I don't think I'm gonna kill him. Look at this. Look at how tanky he is.
What a jerk face.
What a jerk face. Gosh, dang it. I came in at 14, or at about 4 minutes. I am like, so the only thing that I can hope for is that slaying strikes kicks in and I can do enough damage that slaying strikes. Because I think I'm like right on par. Oh my god. No, I think I'm actually behind the timer now. No way. Yep, I'm behind the timer now. Slaying strengths maybe will save me. Nope, I don't think even slaying strikes is gonna make up this time. I'm done. Yeah, no way. I think I started with 4 minutes. So if I started with 4 minutes, I'm way behind the timer. Dang it. Oh my god. Oh, brutal. If it was any other boss, this would have been over. Son of a biscuit eating bulldog. Look at that. I don't have anything that executes. Dang it. Under 35%, I get an extra 24x. Oh. I mean, I cleared it, but okay, so what I got for you today is the Stealth Quake Barbarian. This is a version of the very widely used right now Earthquake Dust Devil Barbarian. I'm going to go over the skills first. We're going to take off that chest piece to make it a little easier to read for everybody. Thanks for the subscribe. Starting at the top, we're going to go a lunging strike so that we can unlock our next section here. We're going to take 1 point into pressure point, and then we're going to go max fury. This is a max fury build. We're going to take anything that we can do to increase our fury. We're going to max out ground stomp. This is going to be our main source of damage and main source of quakes that we're going to actually be casting ourselves. We'll get to that later. We're going to go all the way up through tactical ground stomp. Ground stomp is now a brawling skill and deals 800% increased damage. It also applies vulnerable, so this is a huge source of vulnerable right here. We're going to do 3 points into imposing presence, 1 point in a rallying cry, all the way down through strategic rallying cry. We're going to go into challenging shout through enhanced challenging shout. We're going to max out war cry. We're going to try, this is going to be up all the time. Every single one of your shouts will be up pretty much 24/7. It is a lot of fun. It's very spammy, so get your fingers ready. Go all the way through Power War Cry. We're going to take 3 points into Raid Leader. This is going to give us some passive healing all of the time. We're going to do Booming Voice to help increase the duration of all of those shouts that we're going to be spamming. We're going to do Guttural Yell. This is going to decrease the damage that is being dealt to us, and our shouts are up all the time, so we're going to take 12% less damage all the time. We're going to do Aggressive Resistance. We're going to take 12% less damage while we're berserking. We're going to do Battle Fervor. Your brawling skills are grant berserking for 2 seconds. Now, our ground stomp is going to be a brawling skill now, and it also is going to be spammed, so we're always going to be berserking all the time. We're going to do 3 points into Pit Fighter, 3 points into Slaying Strikes. We're going to be using Steel Grasp to help us pull things together so that we don't have to move, because we want to be standing still for this build. And then we're going to go all the way down through Fighter Steel Grasp to get some additional berserking and some vulnerable damage here. We're going to do 1 point in the Thick Skin, which is going to unlock Counteroffensive. This is going to give us 12% increased damage when we're over 50% of our max life of Fortify. 3 points into Defensive Stance. Increased damage reduction gained while you are fortified by an additional 6%. Fortify gives you 15% damage reduction. This is going to add another 6% to that. We're going to max out Call of the Ancients. We're pretty much going to be able to spam this too. Go all the way up through Supreme Call of the Ancients. We're going to do Wallop. We're going to be running a one-handed mace, and we're going to be able to take advantage of that because this is going to be using a dual wield setup, so we're going to be using the Ramalatnis and a mace, so we're going to take advantage of the 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies and stunned enemies because everything is stunned or vulnerable. Then we're going to take Unconstrained. This was changed a little bit. The damage berserking bonus goes up to 60% now, which is exactly the same. What changed about this is, well, below 65% life, we're always going to be berserking, And then we're always going to take a 25% physical damage reduction. This does not affect any magic that's coming at us. It just affects all of the physical damage that's being done to us. In the Paragon board, we're going to be running Martial. This is going to help keep your ground stomp off cooldown. It also affects your Call of the Ancients too. So after casting a shout, you're going to reduce the cooldown of your non-shout skills, Ground Stomp and Call of the Ancients. We're going to come up into the Decimator board. Everything is going to be vulnerable, and we won't overpower very often. Ground Stomp can overpower, but it doesn't happen too often. So most of the time, we're going to be running that 10% increased damage. We're going to be running your Twister Glyph in this board. The glyphs have changed this season. Once you get to level 46, you now activate the multiplicative legendary bonus. Your glyphs now become legendary. For this one here, we're going to increase the additive damage of your Dust Devils. And we're also going to deal 13% increased multiplicative damage after you cast a Dust Devil. And on top of that, we get an increase of Dust Devil damage, which is 61%, and that's multiplicative. This is the reason why you're seeing Dust Devils this season hit for upwards of 60, 70, 80 million after the stat crunch. The next board that we're going to be running is we're going to be running Force of Nature. This is the new board. This is actually a very cool board here. Your Earthquakes have a 75% chance to spawn Dust Devils every second that deal damage. Earthquake damage is increased by 30% of your damage versus close bonus, up to a maximum of 150%. We are going to have Earthquakes out all the time. So now those Earthquakes are going to spawn Dust Devils. And you just saw how much increased damage those Dust Devils are going to have. Inside the board here, we're going to be running Rumble. This is going to do additive damage to your Earthquakes. We're going to deal 10% increased damage to bosses and crowd-controlled enemies, and that stacks up to 50 multiplicative. We're going to have 5 stacks out all the time. And then on top of that, the Earthquake damage is increased by 69.3%. And that is also a multiplicative number there. We're going to come down into the Warbringer board. We do not need this legendary node. We do need all of the Max Fury nodes here. We'll get to that when we go over the gear and why. Inside of this board, we're running Territorial. Remember, in that last board that we were just in, we get our damage to close bonus. 30% of that becomes multiplicative. But running Territorial works in conjunction with the other legendary node in your Force of Nature board. We're also going to be getting damage reduction from this, and then an increased damage to vulnerable enemies here. For the final board, we're going into the Blood Rage node. Inside of this board, for Blood Rage, killing a bleeding enemy has a 10% chance to grant Berserking. So we're going to have points into Outburst and Tough as Nails. That's where we're going to get our bleed. I get asked that a lot. Where does the bleed come from? Outburst gives you thorns, and then Tough as Nails makes your thorns create bleed on an enemy then when they hit you. So we're going to get their bleed from that. And then on top of that, we're going to get 10% of our damage while berserking bonus as multiplicative. We put Ire in this board here. That gives us 92 exactly. And that can go up or down depending on how much strength you put in, but we only need to be running 300. That gave me, it rounded up for me, so that gave me enough to make sure that I had that 300%. This also gives me 10% damage reduction from elites and 25% increased multiplicative damage to close enemies. For the gear, we're going to put this back on for now, and I'll explain why I took it off when we get to it. Starting off, we're going to be running the Harlequin's Crest. If you can get a triple masterwork on the cooldown reduction, obviously that is going to be key. It's going to add another 5% cooldown reduction on top of this. For the chess piece, this is going to be absolutely fun if you get a chance to test on the PTR. We're running the Shroud of False Death. This will absolutely be changed by the time we hit the actual live game, but for now, we're going to be running it because it is a ton of fun. If you haven't attacked for at least 2 seconds, you gain stealth and 40% movement speed. This is what stealth looks like. My Barbarian is currently stealthed. Something that is really unique to this. We get 1 to all passives. Every single one of my passives is now unlocked. I get additional passives increased when I use this also. This is where I get my outburst and my tough as nails from. I don't have any points put into it, but this will give me those points in it. There is a really weird interaction with this chess piece that we're going to talk about later, but basically that almost 900% damage increase gets multiplied over and over and over again without having to be in stealth. And I'll show you exactly what it looks like when we get there. For the gloves, we're going to be running Fierce Winds. Every single time that we cast a shout, and we're going to spam our shouts, you're going to be casting Dust Devils. So your shouts are going to generate 3. Your Dust Devils are also 25% bigger, and they deal 1% increased damage for each 1% of their size. For the affixes on this, we're going to run Armor, Critical Strike Chance, and Resistances to all elements. We are actually running a little under the resistance cap for elements, but it actually hasn't affected me at all in the pits. I've done tier 100 to the end, and then I've been pretty okay. We have a lot of damage reduction with this, so it is working as it is, but we still need to have some resistance. There's a couple different options that we might be able to explore later on, but we're still testing. This is just in the works. For your tempers here, this is where we're going to get our Dust Devil size. This was moved from the weapons to the armor now. We get Dust Devil size and critical strike damage. For the pants, we're going to be running to Bolt's Will. If you can get a triple into your damage reduction or into your maximum resources, perfect. The maximum resource is going to scale up later on. For the boots, we're going to be running Exploiters. This is going to give us 45% increased damage to enemies that are unstoppable. If you watch a run with this, we are constantly stunning, constantly pulling, so enemies are constantly unstoppable. It's pretty crazy to watch. For the affixes, we're going to be running, ideally, movement speed, resistance to all, brawling skills. For the tempers, we're going to be running movement speed and then our Dust Devil size. That's where we get the last little bit of the Dust Devil size. For the mace, we're going to be running Earthquake aspect. Ground Stomp now creates an earthquake, and then it damages enemies. While you're standing in that, you deal 60% increased damage. For the affixes, we're going to be running Strength, Max Life, Critical Strike damage. And then for your tempers, we're going to be running Critical Strike damage, and then chance to cast Earthquake twice. You don't need a triple in this. If you do get a triple, then you probably don't need it in your other weapon. But if you get it in your two-hander and you hit a double, and then you get it in your one-hander and you hit a single, you're capped. For the other weapon, we're going to be running Ramalodnes. This is why we scaled up our Max Fury so high. This is going to take half of our Max Fury, and it's going to give us that as a multiplicative number. If I'm running 347% Fury, that means that I'm going to get 175% increased damage just from running Ramalodnes. You can go into max resource because we want to scale that max resource up. For the other weapon, we're going to be running Intercom. This is going to be a build that we're going to stand still on. So for the affixes here, we're going to run Strength, Max Life, Critical Strike damage. And then for the tempers, we're going to run Critical Strike damage, and then the other half of your chance to cast Earthquakes twice. We're going to be running the Grandfather for a slashing weapon. You should get your tempers here into that maximum resource so you can pump that up a little bit. For the rings, we're going to be running Strength, Critical Strike, Chance, and Critical Strike damage. We're going to be running Bold Chieftain here so that we continue to cool down our shouts more, so we can spam them more, we can do more. For the tempers, we're going to be running Brawling cooldown reduction. So that's going to cool down our Ground Stomp and also going to cool down our Warcry. And then we're also going to be running damage to close. For the other ring, we're going to be running Elements. This is going to give us a 35% increased damage once every 7 seconds for 7 seconds. For the tempers, we want to be running Strength, Critical Strike damage, Critical Strike chance instead of that max life, but this is what I ended up with. For the tempers, we're going to be running Brawling cooldown again and Critical Strike damage. For the amulet, there's a lot of different things out there. Well, I'm going to test it out a little bit because I hear that Lochran's is really, really great. But I've been running this for the extra cooldown reduction, the extra strength, and then the increased earthquake size. For the aspect here, we're going to be running Bull Kathos. The leap portion of this you don't need, because we're not going to be using leap. While you're standing in an earthquake, which we're going to have a ton of, we're going to take 45% damage reduction. That's huge, all in one place. These earthquakes are going to be huge, so we're going to have damage reduction pretty much all the time. For the affixes, that strength percent is really big, so I actually left that there on purpose. I got maximum resources to scale up Ramalodnes and went with cooldown reduction. For the tempers, we're running earthquake size and then critical strike damage. For the gems, we wanted to go all diamonds because we're over cap. We're still running short. Even with an incense, these are capped, but we're still a little bit short here. But like I said, so far the damage reduction has been enough to carry it. For the gear, we're going to be running strength gems in everything. And then for the one-handed weapons, we're going to be running critical strike damage gems. This is where we've been doing a lot of testing for the runes. We're going to be running Lith and Yam. Standing still is going to grant offerings every 0.3 seconds. So when we put this in, every 6 seconds, we're going to cast Petrify, as long as we're standing still. But when we pull monsters, we stand still. So it's going to work all the time. When we look at the Grandfathered, the other runes that we're going to be running is Yul Tech. Casting a skill is going to grant 50 offerings, and every 100 is going to grant us another earthquake. We spam our skills, so we're going to be getting earthquakes up all the time. For the expertise, we're going to be running the two-handed axe expertise. And the way the expertise works is you don't have to have an axe running in order to get this to work. All you have to do is click on this and we get that 10% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. So how this works, I promised to go over this weird interaction that we have. As you can see here, this is Petrify going off. This is from us standing still. If you look at my all damage here, my all damage is at 3,400. That's simply because of this chest here. If I was to start casting all of my abilities, and you watch as this goes, look at that, it goes up to 20,000. We just keep on casting, and my all damage just keeps on fluctuating. The attack power goes up to 1,400,000. It fluctuates so often, and it keeps me in stealth. If I take off this chest piece, it's going down. It lasts a long time after that, so you see what happens here? The chest piece is multiplying this by quite a bit. So we got only up to 8,000. When we put this on, we went all the way up to 20,000 when we were casting our skills. But when we're standing inside of the earthquake, it's giving us modifiers. But when we put the chest piece on, every time we come out of stealth, we're getting that increased damage that is getting multiplied. And if you watch here, we immediately will go right back into stealth. When we're fighting monsters, it's constantly proccing. If you can see, you see that little glow right around us, that's me going back into stealth, even though I'm casting abilities. So it's not working exactly as intended, but the way that it's working is really, really fun. In order to run this build, this is pretty much all you do. The rotation that you want to run is you want to cast your ground stomp and then a shout, because Marshall is going to cool down your ground stomp. So as you're running, you cast ground stomp, shout, ground stomp, shout, ground stomp, shout. Then you ground stomp, and then you just keep that rotation going as best as you can. The more cooldown you have, the better this goes. This build is a ton of fun to run. It hits really, really hard. There's so many interactions that you can do with the runes. You can basically make this as if it's an AFK build. There's a lot of videos out there for it. I have a couple that I'm going to post because it is so much fun, the things that you can do with this. You can even make your earthquakes almost half the screen. Mess around with it, try it out. Let me know what you think of the build in the comments. I'm live on YouTube and Twitch every night. Stop by, say hi.